Ah, the south facade of the White House. So rich in symbolism, history, architecture, and landscaping. It's something each one of us can be justifiably proud of. Hello, this is Kurt Wallner. But the south facade of the White House didn't always look this way. After George Washington told his architect James Hoban to make the place bigger, Hoban proposed a colonnade across the back of the entire building, but this did not happen. Instead, a wooden porch and stairs was erected outside today's Blue Room. You can only imagine what portico hound Thomas Jefferson thought of this. Although Jefferson thought a lot about porticos, it was President James Monroe who made it happen in 1824. The earliest photo of the White House shows the south facade during the Polk years in 1846, when the president's house had not been painted yet. This undated photo shows the number of shades and awnings used to try to block the southern sun and heat. Harry Truman didn't like them so much, so he threw a balcony between the two floors and the pillars. The Truman balcony is still argued over to this day, but I draw what's there, and this drawing is a bit different, so let's get cracking. So what I'm looking to do in this drawing is to depict the southern facade just as it is, with nothing ripped out and no weird things like that. I'm looking for an unusual perspective, something that not everybody would see. So we're going to place the viewpoint about 20 feet up in the air and about 100 feet away from the structure. The southern facet of the White House is just a box with a bow front thing. But it's important to draw the proportions of the windows correctly. I sweat a lot over this because it affects everything else. I'm going to draw only half of this and flip it. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'll try and make it as clear as possible. I'm going to start out with the ground floor windows. I have to say that I really enjoy working on these. Once I figured out what the proportions were and how it is actually structured with the stone blocks. I think we all love this deep block pattern under the portico, the arched doorways, and the fabulous stairs. Just can't get enough of them. After dimensionalizing the pilasters and the flat windows, I begin doing the curved windows and pilasters around the Blue Room. Going up to the second floor windows, Mr. Big leads his executive skills to the endeavor. Now I must execute the death-defying columns. You draw them in and erase what's behind them. I've checked them against photos and they seem to be in the right place. The next step is to concentrate on the capitals of both the pilasters and the columns. And while these are really detailed, working in pencil is leading me to come to the conclusion that the entablature and the dentils should be done in ink. I do this so that later on I can see this better through the render paper if it's inked. In fact, doing all this stuff on the balustrade in ink is making me think, why don't I do this whole thing in ink? That way I can just do half of it and flip it over when the time comes. My decision comes while drawing the doors surrounding the palm room. It's quite a bit of repetition, a lot of repetition in the balustrades over the wings. So, ink it, Dano. It's really a treat to do it this way, since the inking you can try and correct mistakes in the pencil. Okay, so now the western half is all inked in. I'm going to do it this way because it's all completely symmetrical except for a few little minor details like the furniture placed on the Truman balcony and a couple of other things that really don't matter a whole lot. But you'll see in the next steps why this is important to do it this way. So let me show you what I'm thinking. If I ink the left half onto my render paper, then flip it over to the right and ink that onto the render paper, then by not having to retrace the pencil, I'm using the first generation pencil for both sides. This will become especially important in this drawing because when rendering I'm going to plop in the trees first. I need to be able to see through the trees and the render paper to draw the building that's behind the trees. And if the thing is first generation in ink, I'll be able to see it better, and I'll be tracing the same image on both sides rather than one that's one generation away. So in our next episode, we'll start coloring this thing in. It should be really interesting. I'm very, very nervous outside of the service. Anyway, if you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel if you would. Until next time, thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.